Welcome to Harmonized. I am your host, Gigi Naval, a registered dietitian for over 30 years who transitioned to practicing with a functional nutrition approach to help you improve your metabolic health and energy by way of optimizing your gut and hormone health to work in harmony with each other. Now that I've finished my first series, let's take a break from being in a series and let's just talk about random things that still have to do with our gut and hormone health and our metabolic health. Okay, so let's just clarify there is a difference between the GLP-1 that we produce in our bodies and the GLP-1 agonists or the GLP-1 medications. GLP-1 stands for glucagon-like peptide 1. That's a hormone that is produced in our L cells, and these L cells are located in our distal ileum and our colon, or you could think of it as located in the lowest parts of our small intestines and our large intestines. Okay, so it's produced there, but when is it released? It is usually released after we have eaten a meal and when the body senses, oh, food has been broken down and it has been absorbed, and it senses all the different macronutrients such as carbohydrates, protein, and fats. And when the body senses that, it will release GLP-1. Glucagon-like peptide. Okay, so what this particular hormone in our body does is that it can help lower our blood sugars. And at the same time, it is lowering or decreasing our glucagon hormone. The glucagon hormone increases our blood sugars. But when GLP-1 is released, it lowers blood sugars, okay? And so it also does that by slowing down our gastric activity or our digestive activity that starts from the stomach and throughout the GI tract. And so this will slow down momentarily, but it doesn't do it for a long time. The activity of GLP-1 is very short-lived, and that is what we call its half-life. It has a short half-life, and the half-life is 1 to 2 minutes, perhaps a little bit longer than that, but just a few minutes. So basically just 1 to 2 minutes. And the GLP-1 gets inactivated by an enzyme called DPP4. I'm just going to leave it at that so it doesn't sound like I'm saying a whole bunch of different strange words. Let's just call that enzyme by its nickname, DPP4. Okay, so again, when GLP-1 is released, it slows down gastric or GI emptying, the movement through our GI tract. So we'll slow down the movement of our food going through our GI tract. For a moment, we can absorb the nutrients, but it can also help with blood sugar regulation, and it helps us feel full. It helps us with our satiety or feeling satisfied. Okay, but again, I need to emphasize that it is short-lived, and the DPP4 then it cleaves or attaches itself to the GLP-1, and so it inactivates it. So now, okay, that activity is done. It's short-lived. And that's how God designed our bodies to run. Yes, it should be slowed down a little bit, our food, just enough for us to absorb our food, but not long enough for our bodies to have the food that has been broken down with the bacteria in it. It allows it to not stay in there too long so that bacteria will not overgrow, but just enough for us to absorb and get what we need. Okay, so that's how God designed it naturally. So the medications, though, that's different, even though it is also called GLP-1, but it's called a GLP-1 agonist. That means that, yes, it mimics what the body does, what the body's natural GLP-1 does, but with a twist. And this twist is very important. Okay, so remember, I talked about the DPP-4 enzyme. It inactivates the GLP-1 and it shortens the half-life, or naturally, it just makes for a shortened half-life. Okay, so the agonist, it will bind to the same receptor as the GLP-1 does in our body. But here's the thing. Here is the thing, friend. GLP-1 agonists resist the activity of the enzyme DPP-4. And so when it's resisting the activity of this enzyme, then the GLP-1 will continue to slow down the activity of the GI tract way longer than just 1 or 2 minutes. It can make it last for several hours. It depends on the GLP-1 class medication. There is short-acting GLP-1 agonist, and then there is also the long-acting GLP-1 agonist. So when it comes to the GLP-1 agonists that we are all familiar with, the semaglutides, okay, that's the one in which Ozempic falls under, Wegovy, Rybelsus, okay, it goes under the semaglutide category. So that means it is a long-acting GLP-1 agonist. That means it can last up to a week. It can slow down the activity of the GI tract for up to a week. Think about that. Food moves much more slowly through the GI tract. So yes, it can really help down. Sorry about that. I was thinking too fast in my head. It can actually help slow down the rise of blood sugars. But yeah, at what expense? Yes, it can make people's appetite go down. But yes, at what expense? When your GI tract activity is moving slowly, that means that food has more time to sit and just go slowly through the GI tract, allowing for unwanted bacteria to grow. It can cause overgrowths in our GI tract. And when we have these overgrowths, it can manifest itself in symptoms like gas, bloating, constipation. And for those who already have either irritable bowel syndrome or even small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, it will exacerbate the situation. And if you didn't have that in the first place, for some people, it can potentially increase the risk of having SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. I'm not saying everybody will, but it potentially can. So that's a big difference there. The GLP-1 agonist is the medication. It resists DPP-4, so it makes the half-life longer, anywhere from 5 to 7 days if it's the long-acting. If it's the short-acting one, then the half-life could be a few hours, but still, you want your GI tract to slow down that much when naturally God designed it to slow down a minute or two at a time? Yeah, let's think about that. I had a client who came back to work with me. We were working on something else a couple years ago, and he came back and he told me that he had to have a colostomy bag. So they took out part of his colon and he had a colostomy bag, and that they were planning on removing it. But he said that his doctor stopped his prescription for the semaglutide medication that he was taking. And I believe it was the one that we're all very familiar with. His physician believed that that was the cause that exacerbated his GI condition, specifically for him. We're not saying it causes that with everyone, but there's a good chance it can. And so for those individuals who go into the medication and you don't know that your gut community is out of balance, and then you take this medication on top of that, it will make you go into a gut imbalance, which we call gut dysbiosis, even more. It will make it worse. So these are just some things to keep in mind before you actually start taking it. But I got on here today because I wanted to clarify the difference. Because when people say, oh, make your own GLP-1, okay, yeah, that's a good thing. But it's not the same as what the medication is doing for us. And you know what? Thank God. Thank God. All right, everyone. Oh, well, wait a minute. Hold on. I was going to end, but guess what? There are other factors that can affect our GLP-1 production for the better. And that is actually helping our gut community go into a good balance, which we call eubiosis. And so when we are eating foods with fiber, the bacteria in our gut can then ferment the fiber and produce what we call short chain fatty acids. And this can stimulate our production of GLP-1. So that's a good thing. And then exercise in mindful moderation and not overdoing it. It can also help us produce our own GLP-1. And then our circadian rhythm, when we're getting good sleep, when we are supposed to go to sleep in the hours that God designed for us to go to bed and then to wake up when we should, our circadian rhythm habits, that also can affect our own production in a good way of producing GLP-1. All right, now I'm going to conclude. Here we go. All right, so friend, in all that we do and all that we eat and drink, let us do it all for the glory of God. If you need personalized help in resolving your gut, hormone, or metabolic health challenges, then sign up to work with me in my fusion program called Gut and Hormone Harmonizer in the link located in the description.